Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. How are you, Ruchi Mataji? Okay, we'll begin with the prayers. Om Agyanat Mirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Sma Padantikam वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नश्यप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. So today we are reading from Canto 4, Chapter 3, it should be Chapter 3, right? Yeah, text 21 and 22. Text 21 and 22. So this is the conversation. Chapter 3 is entitled The Talks Between Lord Shiva and Sati. And this is the conversation between Sati and Lord Shiva, whether she should go to her father's place to attend the sacrifice. So this is text 21. Anybody would like to read?
I can read that, but it'll take me 2 minutes. Okay, 18, 19, 21.
Okay, I can read. Papacho manena hrida turendriya samriddhi purusha buddhi shakshinam अकल्पयेशम् अधुरोधुम् अंजसा परम पदम द्वेष्टि यथा सुरा हरिम. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One who is conducted by false ego and thus always distressed both mentally and sensually cannot tolerate the opulence of self-realized persons. Being unable to rise to the standard of self-realization, he envies such persons as much as demons envy the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
let me know when you want me
Purport.
to read
The
from
real
the.
reason for the enmity between Lord Shiva and Daksha is explained here. Daksha was envious of Lord Shiva because of Shiva's high position as an incarnation of the quality of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and because Shiva was directly in contact with the Super Soul and was therefore honored and given a better sitting place than he. There were many other reasons also. Daksha, being materially puffed up, could not tolerate the high position of Lord Shiva. So his anger at Lord Shiva's not standing up in his presence was the final manifestation of his envy. Lord Shiva is always in meditation and always perceives the super soul as expressed here by the words Purusha Buddhi Shakshinam. The position of one who is intelligent is always absorbed in meditation upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is very great and cannot be imitated by anyone, especially an ordinary person. When Daksha entered the arena of Yajna, Lord Shiva was in meditation and might not have seen Daksha enter. But Daksha took the opportunity to curse him because Daksha had maintained an envious attitude towards Lord Shiva for a long time. Those who are actually self realized see every individual body as a temple of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his Paramatma feature, is residing in everyone's body. When one offers respect to the body, it is not to the material body but to the presence of the Supreme Lord. This one who is always in meditation upon the Supreme Lord is always offering him obeisances. But since Daksha was not very elevated, he thought that obeisances were offered to the material body. And because Lord Shiva did not offer respect to his material body, Daksha became envious. Such persons, being unable to rise to the standard of self realized souls like Lord Shiva, are always envious. The example given here is very suitable. Asuras, demons, or atheists are always envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They simply want to kill him. Even in this age, we find some so called scholars commenting on Bhagavad Gita who are envious of Krishna. When Krishna says, Man mana bhavamad bhakta, always think of me, become my devotee, and surrender unto me, the so called scholars comment that it is not to Krishna that we have to surrender. That is envy. The Asuras or atheists, the demons, without reason or cause, are envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Similarly, instead of offering respect to self realized persons, foolish persons who cannot approach the highest standard of self realization are always envious, although there is no reason. Okay, so we are going to read the next verse. Would anybody like to read the next verse, text 22?
I can read. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can anybody hear me?
Okay, I can read. Pratyutyakama parashrayan abhivandanam विधीयते साधुमितः समाध्य में प्रजन्नै परस्मै पुरुष्य चेष्टा गुहाशया शयायैव न देहमानिने.
Ruchi Mataji wants to read. I think, Ruchi Mataji, we were able to hear you.
Translation.
Really, you could hear me,
My
but
dear
she
young
Yeah.
wives, certainly friends and relatives offer mutual greetings by
It's okay.
standing up, welcoming one another, and offering obeisances. But those who are elevated to the transcendental platform, being intelligent, offer such respects to the super soul who is standing within the body, not to a person who identifies with the body. Purport. It may be argued that since Daksha was the father in law of Lord Shiva, it was certainly the duty of Lord Shiva to offer him respect. In answer to the argument, it is explained here that when a learned person stands up to offer obeisances in welcome, he offers respect to the super soul who is sitting within everyone's heart. Among Vaishnavas, therefore, it is seen that even when a disciple offers obeisances to his spiritual master, the spiritual master immediately returns the obeisances because they are mutually of they are mutually offered not to respect the body but to the super soul. Therefore, the spiritual master also offers respects to the super soul situated in the body of the disciple. The Lord says in Srimad Bhagavatam that offering respect to his devotee is more valuable than offering respect to him. Devotees do not identify with the body. So, offering respect to a Vaishnava means offering respect to Vishnu. It is stated also that as a matter of etiquette, as soon as one sees a Vaishnava, one must immediately offer him respect. Um, where is it? I lost it, sorry. The Lord says in the Srimad Bhagavatam that offering respect to his devotee is more valuable than offering respect to him. Devotees do not identify with the body, so offering respect to a Vaishnava means offering respect to Vishnu. It is stated also that as a matter of etiquette, as soon as one sees a Vaishnava, one must immediately offer him respect, indicating the super soul sitting within. A Vaishnava sees the body as a temple of Vishnu. Since Lord Shiva had already offered respect to the super soul in Krishna consciousness, offering respect to Daksha, who identified with his body, was already performed. There was no need to offer respect to his body, for that is not directed by any Vedic injunction. Wow, so these are two very, very strong purports by Srila Prabhupada. So, as we know, oh, Ruchi Mataji, your audio is muted. It's not
Yeah,
muted. You can unmute yourself.
yeah, but you couldn't hear me when I unmuted myself. It's okay.
We cannot hear you, so it's not an issue from our side. It's an issue from your computer. So please check in your computer.
No,
So
no,
yeah.
it was working. My audio is working.
I am able to hear you, Mataji.
Yeah, can you message her that you are able to hear? It's a strange thing.
Sure.
Okay, so we'll continue reading. So Ruchi Mataji, I guess your problem is resolved.
So you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So what happened? You couldn't hear me earlier.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ruchi Mataji. I think my volume on my computer was very low.
Yeah, because Prem Rasa was telling you and you couldn't hear. Anyways, it's okay. So it's not good to let you know.
Exiting narrator.
Mm. So I will speak very, very shortly because I have service. So I will not be able to continue for a long time, but you can continue the discussion. And also today is Friday, so somebody is going to end this call somehow. So before that happens, we will discuss this very, very beautiful and strong purports by Srila Prabhupada. So as we know, both Sati and her very, very elevated husband, Lord Shiva, are having a discussion, and Sati is imploring. She is basically requesting her husband that she wants to go attend the fire sacrifice. The sacrifice that is going to be performed by Daksha, who is her own father. But Lord Shiva is actually offering arguments, or not arguments, but basically he's trying to explain the entire situation to his very dear wife. Lord Shiva very much um, wants to take care of his wife, and he loves his wife. And he is spiritually extremely qualified. He is a self realized personality, and no one is actually at such a high level of Krishna consciousness as Shiva. Of course, except, there are different shades of um, spiritual um, spiritual elevation, But Lord Shiva is undoubtedly a great soul. He is always thinking of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in this two purports, Prabhupada is explaining what is the mentality of a conditioned soul through the example of Daksha. So he's in the translation, Lord Shiva is saying, one who is conducted by the false ego and thus always distressed. So now this is a very important thing to understand. Mataji, there is some noise in the background. If you could mute yourself, if you're not going to be speaking immediately, it will help. So one who is conducted in false ego. So this is a very, very important thing. We actually have something called as the real ego. The real ego is understanding that we are a servant, the servant of the servant of the Lord. And false ego is not understanding our real position as a servant of Krishna, but to identify ourselves with the body and the things that are associated with our body. So this body that we have is not eternal. It stays with us for some time. When we are born, it comes into existence. And when we die, this body is going to leave. And everything with this body will also finish at the time of death. But a person who is not enlivened in Krishna consciousness loses track of this reality that this body is not going to exist forever. And he tries to draw a sense of existence, in one sense, we could say, a sense of value, meaning, by connecting things of this body and attributing them to his identity. Um, I hope it is. I hope it is clear. Because this identity, we may not think of it so much, but actually this identity of ourselves with this body is very, very strong. And we think, okay, like even within devotional life, this sense of ego can become very, very strong. One may think, okay, I am a pujari, so now, like now I have this position in the society. Or one may think, okay, I'm first initiated. By becoming first initiated, I'll become somebody special. Or then I'll become second initiated, I'll become somebody special. But this thing, like, is so subtle. This false ego is so subtle, it actually drives our entire existence. But the sad part is, although we may try to derive our sense of identity and existence from this false ego, there is like a it leaves an aftertaste which is disliked by everybody, including us. We may think, okay, if I um, you know by becoming attached to the body, the mind, and the false ego, if we think we are getting a sense of existence, we are getting a sense of identity, this identity is not eternal. It will perish, whether it is today or tomorrow or day after tomorrow. It is going to perish. So this is not going to stay with us for a long time. It will not sustain us for a long time. And that is the sad part, because one day everything has to end. A person may identify himself as a very rich man, a very accomplished man, but one day it goes away, either by means of fate, or somebody overpowers him, or by means of death. In some way or other, we are going to lose all our false identities. It is just a matter of time. But if the process of Krishna consciousness is come to the position of real identity, because that position of real identity as a servant of the Lord and always trying to serve and please the Lord, will give a deep sense of satisfaction to the soul. This false identification with any other thing of the body is going to leave us feeling that we need more. It will never fully satisfy us, it will never fully please our soul. So, therefore, the best antidote to this kind of false ego, which leaves a person always hankering for more or needing more, it can be overcome in a true sense only through Krishna consciousness. Another way of saying it is that nothing in this world um, will can give us a permanent happiness and satisfaction other than Krishna. The only thing that will give us permanent satisfaction is Krishna. And this is actually also the case between the strong contrast between Daksha and Lord Shiva. So, while Lord Shiva is a completely satisfied and self realized person, that means he knows exactly what is his position with Krishna and what is his service to the Lord. Therefore, he is always satisfied. On the other hand, Daksha, he is a very accomplished person, but his heart is not satisfied because he has not taken shelter of the Supreme Lord. So, although he is in such a elevated position, materially speaking, like he is the progenitor of mankind, he is one of the fathers of mankind, still he holds the sense of envy towards Lord Shiva. And this sense of envy comes by means of fault finding. Now, 2 or 3 classes ago, we were speaking about the topic of fault finding, and Dhira Shanta Mataji said, "Oh, like sometimes I'm trying to find fault. I find fault within my son." That is not in a true sense fault finding, but uh, um, we see this more prominently with Daksha and Lord Shiva. There was no fault of Lord Shiva in a very a clear sense, but at the same time, Daksha was able to see that he made a mistake. And we should also try to see if this is happening in our own heart. These purports of Srimad Bhagavatam, these examples within Srimad Bhagavatam are there so that we can go deeper in our own Krishna consciousness. And fault finding or envy towards other devotees or other living creatures is one of the most um, strongest obstacle on our path to Krishna. So the more we can overcome this tendency of finding fault with other living entities, with other devotees, the more we can strive to do that, it pleases Krishna more and more. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also talks about this in his teachings. He says that those who chant the holy name of the Lord are very dear to me, and those who never find fault with my devotees are very dear to me. So, as devotees, sometimes it may not be easy because as conditioned souls, we do not have a lot of strength to tolerate even the existence of a person. Um, or the existence of another living entity is even very difficult for for a conditioned soul. But this is the quality that we have to cultivate. When we see that somebody has done something which is not pleasing to us, immediately the tendency is to react by saying, "Oh, this person has not done things like this, that person has not done things like that," and every minute detail is put under a microscope, and it is examined. But this tendency is not something that will become good for our Krishna consciousness. In fact, it will stand as a great obstacle for our Krishna consciousness. So the more we can pray to the Lord so that we can get rid of this tendency, the more we will advance in our love for the Lord. In fact, one of the this, I don't know if this is a Vaishnava definition, but one of the definitions of love is that we don't fault find, or we don't criticize a person. And that's actually a very tall order, because the conditioned mind is always in this mode of being very critical. It always wants to see what the other person has done wrong, and then it magnifies it out of proportion, so that when we find fault with others, the subtle thing is that we feel that we are better than them. It gives us that like feeling of like, okay, I can be better than this person, so I'm good, I'm in a good position, I don't have to do much because I'm in a good position. But this person is not able to live up to the standard of Krishna consciousness. This comes in very, very subtle forms, and this is actually the case with Daksha. Just because Lord Shiva did not stand up while he entered the assembly, he became so furious that he cursed Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva is pointing this mentality. He's saying a person who is always engrossed in his false ego, for him, he's always distressed. So he is distressed both mentally and sensually, and cannot tolerate the opulence of a self-realized person. So the analogy is also very strong, like how the demons envy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Prabhupada always points out, that whenever people say, like, that God does not exist, when Krishna says, Man mana bhavan bhakto, always think of me, become my devotee, and the scholars say, not unto Krishna, but, unto something else. That's all because of, it's a very strong word. Envy is a very strong word, but it manifests in so many different ways. And, when we speak about it, like, it may become a little unpalatable for us to hear about these kind of topics. But the more we can introspect and see if we are falling into the same trap, and beg the Lord and pray to the Lord to elevate us from such low grade consciousness, we will become very happy. It will become easier and easier to chant the holy name of the Lord. And it will become easier to appreciate the good in others, instead of just always seeing something that is a flaw. It may be true that, there are flaws within devotees, but a real Vaishnava will always look to their glories. He will always look how to appreciate others, not to find fault with them. So this is actually, and in the purport to text 22, Prabhupada makes another very, very important statement, that when we offer obeisances to a devotee, we are actually offering obeisances to the super soul who is existing within the body. And in Daksha's case, actually, he was so strongly identified with his own body, he was thinking that Lord Shiva is not offering obeisances to me. But Prabhupada is clearly pointing out, like, that even a spiritual master may offer obeisances, because he's offering obeisances to the super soul. So I will stop here, and we will see, like, if devotees would like to share something about what we have read today.
Thank you for the very nice class, Leela Manjari. You always explain really well. So Yes, this line about like that when we pay respects to others, it's the super soul we are actually addressing. It's very it's a very strong point, and you explained it really well. How like uh, even in a subtle way we have envy, or even in a subtle way we develop, we fall, we we think low of others. But I had a question like sometimes we get very attached to our spiritual practice, and it is only by that designation, like you said that you are a pujari, that might give you inspiration. Like I feel okay, at least I can read, if not anything else, I'm staying in the house of God and I can do a little bit of reading every day. So I am somehow close to God than others. And so that gives me the inspiration to go on. And so, like, I feel that, okay, I am not such a bad person. And also, like, sometimes our spiritual practices give us the inspiration to go on. Like, I've done so much how like okay, at least I can be a part of this or whatever, and that gives me the that I followed these precepts for so long. So do you think it's right or wrong to have that pride? And then secondly, one gets very attached to these principles and stops actually living the thing. And just so what do you think about that sometimes about attachment um, to these practices, to like religious practices?
A very nice question, Ruchi Mataji. Very thoughtful question. Would any devotees like to answer Ruchi Mataji's question?
Mataji, I can try. You correct me if I'm wrong.
Please, Mataji, please share. This is a forum for everybody to share so we can learn from each other.
Yeah, I might be wrong, but what I had heard, like, if I am thinking that, oh, I am in the temple, I am doing pujari service or whatever, and others are not. So, what I have heard is that we all are on our spiritual journey. Some have reached there, some are yet to begin, some are in the middle. So, anyways, everyone is going to do that. So, there's nothing to be very uh, proud about it. If it helps you in if it motivates you, it's okay, but not to be proud, because that's the journey of the soul. We are not doing anything special. That is what we are supposed to do. It's our eternal duty. And if we are doing our duty, then what is there to be proud about it? That's what I was thinking.
Hmm. But Ruchi Mataji, actually, your question is very nice. And Antaranga Seva Mataji, thank you for your nice answer.
Yeah, thank you. I was on mute. I was trying to get. Thank you for the nice answer. Yes, because it's right that it is ultimately everyone's duty to worship God. But we forget about it, and so everybody's on a journey. That is a very nice answer. Thanks.
Thank you, Mata.
Yeah,
Yes,
but I really appreciate your question very much, Ruchi Mataji. It's a very nice question. Hmm. In fact, there is another explanation in Nectar of Devotion. It is said, until a devotee comes to a very highly elevated spiritual platform, they will be attached to their service more than the Supreme Lord. Only I think in the stage of bhava or prema, which are the last stages, then he becomes attached to the Supreme Lord. So, if in our case, if I am attached to being a pujari, and if you are attached to studying Srimad Bhagavatam with the devotees, it is good for us. It is good for us. But at the same time, we don't have to become proud by feeling, okay, I am a pujari or I am studying with all these devotees. We don't have to become proud. We can do it humbly. And but who knows, Today we are doing it, tomorrow, like, we may not have the same service or the same opportunity. But still, we can continue to pray to the Lord that we may remain spiritually awake and inspired.
Thank you so much for the nice answer. Yeah, that is what I was thinking, whether to get, sometimes person gets attached to like just the process of chanting instead of like the feeling one gets from chanting. So I was thinking if it's right like to get attached to it, because ultimately it's the practice of chanting that if you keep doing something, and also like since it's the holy name, it has so much potency. So but if a person doesn't have the opportunity sometimes, because like sometimes somebody develops some disease, or the mind doesn't work properly, or the person doesn't can't chant for whatever reason, his mind, like sometimes the mind plays games, or the mind is not working properly, or some speech problem, or some like environment problem, then a person starts to feel very withdrawn and very like sad because they can't do something. So just thinking whether the practice is more important or the worship to God, in like um, worshipping Him is more important. So you cleared it about the nectar of devotion. So yes, that makes a lot of sense. Thanks a lot for that answer.
You're welcome, Mataji. Would anybody else like to share? I would like to end by 5:45 today, if that's okay with everybody.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances.
Thank you very much, Leela Mandra. You really explained everything perfectly, as you always make it so clear for me. This idea
Control.
of
Exiting narrator. You. Starting.
this idea of control. Not, what am I saying? I'm sorry. Fault
Mataji,
finding.
can you repeat what you were saying again? For some reason, I could not hear. My computer could not.
I didn't really say anything. I was just saying you explain everything so very nicely. And it was talking in here about envy and also a fault finding. And, I notice in myself the time when it's not like what happened in Daksha's case where Lord Shiva didn't do anything. He just didn't give him the respect he felt he deserved. It's sometimes if I feel someone has really wronged me or hurt me in some way, that's the only time it will come out of my mouth that I'm not going to associate with this person, or I'm not going to get close. And it's fear, it's usually out of fear. But it's not, I try not to, I think since coming to Krishna consciousness, I don't think that I don't know how to put this, that it's a feeling that if I'm upset with someone that I want to seek revenge or I want to get back at that person, nothing like that. I think sometimes if I say something about a person, like it's usually within my house or something to my husband, and he'll say, well, why are you saying that about this person? I'm like, you know what, you're right. I catch myself. But the reality is usually I felt hurt. And when that happens, sometimes I don't feel I have control over myself. So that's something I need to pray about, to not do that at all. I mean, and I feel like I'm better, much better than I ever was. I try not to, but am I perfect? Obviously not. It comes popping out of my mouth. And sometimes I don't even know, it could border on being offensive if I'm not careful. Every once in a while that'll happen to me. So I have to ask myself, what is what is going on in me that's making me feel this kind of that I have to talk. It's not like I'm bad mouthing the person. Well, maybe it is. Maybe it is. I don't know. And if it is, then I have to stop that behavior at all, because it does affect our Krishna consciousness. And I do know that when we're chanting nicely, and the more and more we chant nicely, the less and less the tendency comes out to do that. I think my Guru Maharaj was saying one morning, sometimes people have developed certain habits that have been going on all their lives. They're so deeply rooted that it's very difficult for them to get rid of them, but they can. They can get rid of them through the chanting of the holy names. So I do think that is possible, because I see that it's happening in my life. I mean, yes, every once in a while, that tendency will pop up. I want to say something, and it's like, no, don't go too far there. That's not okay. And about anybody. And like I said, the only time it happens is when I feel anger. Somebody has hurt me, and I feel out of control. So I need to look at that a little bit more carefully. Thank you.
You have said it so nicely, Govardhan Leela Mataji. It's 100% true. I have seen, like, when I criticize somebody, it is because I'm hurt by something they have said or not said or done or not done. And the immediate tendency is to say something about the person. But the more we can take shelter of the Supreme Lord, as you mentioned, through the chanting of the holy name, these tendencies can be overcome, because then we lose fear. The fear leaves our heart. When we chant the holy name properly, immediately the fear leaves our heart. And then there is no need for us to even speak about it.
Yes, Mataji, that's very
true. You said it very, very correctly. Yes, it's fear that actually makes us want to defend ourselves and want to, protect ourselves against the person who has hurt us.
So
the
true.
more we can feel Krishna's love, very easily we can forgive anybody else.
Yes, Mataji, that's very true, because, I have done it with people who have done repeatedly, insulted me, hurt me for years and years and years. And I didn't say anything. And, I ended up forgiving them. So if I can do that with because of Krishna's mercy, only because of that, then it should, likewise, just with people in general, there should be no reason why I cannot stop that. I think sometimes it is very, very bad habits that are developed very early in life, and, associating under those three modes of material nature. So just need to be more and more aware of it, and make sure that sometimes it's a criticism, not of the person's service or this or that, just, I'm upset kind of thing. I'm hurt. I say it in different ways,
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
So thank you very much for bringing out those points today. I appreciate them. I need to hear them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Govardhan Leela Mataji. Anybody else would like to say anything? Okay, Mataji's. So I will end here for today, and we can meet on Monday again. Thank you all very, very much for your association. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Ruchi Mataji, Antaranga Seva Mataji, Rohini Mataji, and Premarasa. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Mataji, Sai Bol.
Hare Krishna.